like to be aspired to come out.
Let me drill down here. Keith says 1 + 1 is 2. Are you disagreeing with him then?
I think I am disagreeing, because you have to look at the facts. When I have a resident who has lost loved ones, I have a resident who both of his grandmothers had to be pulled out from under the rubble of 2 residential towers that were decimated by IDF fighter jet. You cannot look to that individual and say, while I send my condolences for the loss of your grandmothers, you need to vote for Biden because it would have been worse under Trump. I don't think that is the reality.
What about the argument?
There's a subsect of this population which will not vote for Biden.
Agreed.
We have to accept that.
Agreed.
We will not vote for Biden.
And I would never ask someone who lost 2 grandparents in this conflict to vote for Biden. Of course, there's a human dimension here, politics aside. Correct. I'm just wondering, to you as a leader, as someone who is a Democrat, what about the argument that not just it would have been worse under Trump, but what's coming? Like, why would you want to create a worse life for your family, for your kids? I'm assuming you believe Trump would be worse for America than Biden.
I absolutely do not want to see a Trump presidency happen again in my lifetime. But what I'm doing as a leader is utilizing all the tools at my disposal to hold this current president accountable. And so while we keep hyper-focusing, obviously, on the November election, I'm looking at today and tomorrow. What can I do so that when I wake up tomorrow and I look at the kill count of how many more individuals have been killed in Gaza, that I someday actually ceases, and to Brother Keith's point, that we finally find a way to help establish a just Palestinian state. So that's the pressure that I am trying to surmount, alongside this anti-war, pro-peace, pro-justice movement that we see sprawling across the country from coast to coast.
But if you wake up the morning after the election, Abdullah, and Donald Trump is president, and you and friends of yours have not voted to stop that, you won't have any regrets. You won't think, maybe we shouldn't have done this. You'll say, I stand by my decision. I'm fine with this.
I have never run for office, and I would love to hear Keith Ellison's perspective as well, where I said, if I am not elected office, I blame you, the voters. The Arab American community, the Muslim American community, we're not on the ballot.
Hold on, don't get me wrong.
It's incumbent upon the candidate. I have to push back on this. It's incumbent upon the candidate to
You can't push back on something I didn't say. I didn't say if you're Biden. Biden, sure, it's his fault. No one's asking you to sympathize with Joe Biden for losing. I'm saying you as a citizen, as someone who has to live in America the morning after the election, you won't have any kind of, maybe we got this wrong. What are we going to do now? We're screwed.
I absolutely believe as a nation, if Trump is reelected president, we have to self-reflect and ask ourselves what happened that we ended up back in this moment. I still remember that the first time Trump was reelected, driving in my car, listening to the radio, we still did that, and they announced Trump winning the election, and I literally pulled over my vehicle, and I could not believe it. I think if that happens again, the Democratic Party has to have a deep self-reflection on what went wrong and how did they allow this to happen.
Keith, let me ask you this before we run out of time.
Sure.
How much does the argument, do you think, work with Muslims right now, Arab Americans who are very understandably upset about Gaza? But how much is the argument that, okay, Trump won't necessarily be better or worse on Gaza, although personally I think he'll be worse on Gaza, but also he'll be worse on every other issue: democracy, climate change, healthcare, all the issues we care about. Does that work in your experience?
Well, see, here's the thing. As I said, and as Abdullah has said, both of us know people who have paid more than the ultimate price, and so my heart is with them. I've been to Gaza myself, protested, the blockade of Gaza since 2006. I've been going back and forth to Gaza, so I saw it when it was bad. And Abdullah's right. I didn't think it'd get worse, but I have to say, it can get worse in the West Bank. It can get worse with the war with Iran. It can get worse with the war with Lebanon. I mean, I do think things can get worse, and I think under Trump that they will, but I'm not going to insult the memory of the over 34,000 people dead. And let's not just only talk about the dead. Let's talk about the people who don't have arms, don't have legs, are blind, people who've lost everyone in their family. The horror is incalculable. But we have the future, and in the future, we have simply got to do better, and that means activism. I will say that I hope the universities, and I urge these universities not to overreact.
Yes.
Protesting on college campuses is a normal thing, and there should not be an overreaction. Students are going to protest. I protested and got arrested on Wayne State's campus over apartheid, and I'll just say that, look, young people have a right to make themselves clear. And so I will say that I'm going to sit up and say what I'm going to do. I think what I'm doing is the right thing, but there's no way I can tell Abdullah that he's wrong and that he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. I'm hoping that his plan works and that it changes the Biden administration's trajectory on this issue. In the meantime, I'm glad that you're airing this issue and getting some real discussion going, because I think it's very much needed.
Well, let me say, as three Muslims have a discussion about the future of America, your sentiment, Keith, that Joe Biden listens, all I have to say is one word, that Biden himself uses, inshallah. Abdullah Hammoud, Keith Hellison, thank you so much, both of you, for taking time out for this important discussion. Appreciate you both.
Salam to all you guys. All right, we'll see you soon.